Bangwanani Malelepo Vukenjani Klekwas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond on Friday, the 6th of September. You are joined by Ashwin Bedi. Now, these are some of the stories that we are looking at today. DR Congo expects first shipment of Mpox vaccines to arrive. Jacob Zuma's daughter to marry King Mswati III Ngwenyama of Eswatini. Climate change costs Africa up to 5% of GDP, UN climate head says. Follow all our programs on oneup2.com, DSTV 285, GoTV 25 in Namibia, and Network Media Hub on YouTube. Mike Suchula will also join us to fill us in on the news making waves in Zambia. Stay with Africa Good Morning. Top stories shortly.
eTicket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
Let's get into the top stories on Africa Good Morning. The first shipment of nearly 100,000 doses of Mpox vaccines arrived in the Democratic Republic of Congo yesterday. The Central African country of about 100 million people is at the epicenter of an Mpox outbreak that the World Health Organization declared a global public health emergency last month. WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus confirmed the doses manufactured by Bavarian Nordic and donated by the European Union were due to arrive on Thursday. Now, Chris Kasita, head of DRC's Mpox outbreak response chief, earlier told the Reuters news agency about the planned shipments. The Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said more than 99,000 doses were due to arrive on Thursday, with a flight from Denmark expected to land at Kinshasa's International Airport at 11 GMT. Now, in Algeria, voting in remote and isolated areas and by nomadic populations in the country's south began Wednesday morning at mobile polling stations as part of the presidential election of September 7th. A total of 116,064 electors are voting at 134 polling stations in 51 communes through 16 provinces. Article 132 of the Organic Law on the Electoral Regime stipulates that the head of the National Independent Authority for Elections can, at the request of the coordinator of the delegation of the province's office of the National Independent Authority for Elections, decide to bring forward the start of voting by up to 72 hours in towns and villages where the polls can be held on the elections day, when they cannot be held on the election day because of the remoteness of the areas concerned or the scattered local population. Now, moving on, the Deputy Prime Minister of Tanzania, Doto Biteko, says the country has made significant strides on the green hydrogen front. Advocating for greener fuels must be a priority for all African governments to achieve a low-carbon economy, says the Deputy Prime Minister of Tanzania. Now, Doto Biteko made these remarks in his speech at the Global African Green Hydrogen Summit currently taking place in Namibia. Yanni Hofmuth and Otis Daniels report.
African countries are confronted with the need of increased energy access in meeting their development aspiration and transition to green energy. Looking at the current situation in Africa, the stamp of electrification rate in this country, such as Tanzania, stands just at 70%. We need to increase generation capacity using our available resources that include hydro, natural gas, and renewables. Green energy is a global agenda that needs much attention, especially to our countries in Africa, where much of the fuel used to power our vehicle and industries come from hydrocarbon with much higher cost. Advocating on cleaner fuel should be a priority to all African governments in order to achieve a low carbon economy.
Now, the 21-year-old daughter of South Africa's former president Jacob Zuma is marrying the Eswatini king for love, a spokesman for Africa's last remaining absolute monarchy has told BBC. Nonxebo Zuma's engagement to King Mswati III was made official earlier this week at the end of the 8-day reed dance ceremony, a traditional rite of passage for young women and girls held every year. The 56-year-old monarch is currently in a polygamous arrangement with 11 wives and has been married 15 times in total. Eswatini spokesman Alpheus Xubalo dismissed outright the suggestion that the marriage would be a political alliance. Zuma, who was president of South Africa from 2009 until 2018, and King Mswati are already relatives through marriage. Let's get into the last of our top stories. The impact of global warming is costing African nations up to 5% of their economic output, the United Nations climate chief said yesterday, calling for more investments to help adapt to climate change. The 54-nation continent, which has borne the brunt of climate change despite releasing far less polluting emissions than the industrialized world, receives just 1% of annual global climate finance. The climate crisis is an economic sinkhole sucking the momentum out of economic growth. Simon Steele, Executive Secretary of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, told a meeting of African Ministers of Environment in Abidjan, Ivory Coast. Now, African governments and their climate negotiators are considering various strategies at the Conference of the Parties, a preparatory meeting in the West African country. Although the continent has attracted new investors in climate mitigation and adaptation projects in recent years, it gets a very small portion of the $100 billion in financing available globally, African government officials say. That is a drop in the ocean of the $1.3 trillion required. All right, those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. After the break, we talk to Mike Sichula about stories including Zambia's female soccer captain Barbara Banda being nominated for Ballon d'Or. Stay with us.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
All right, it's time for us to get the news stories from Zambia from the one and only Mike Sichula. Mike Uriwanji.
Nirebuino Moribwanji, Africa, good morning to our dear viewers across the African continent.
All right. You know, when I was in Zambia, I was told an informal response to Uriwanji could be Ndiribwa. Is that correct?
yeah, there are a lot of responses that can be used.
All right. Well, in that case, indeed.
Right.
And so is Zambia, as the country is set to become the first Southern African nation to set up an artificial intelligence center. Tell us more, Mike.
Yeah, so Google will soon set up an artificial intelligence center of excellence at the Zambia Research and Education Network hub in Lusaka. So this information was revealed by Technology and Science Minister Felix Mutati, who said that the Center of Excellence will be the first in the Southern African region. Mr. Mutati says the government signed an MOU with Google based on the country's willingness to embrace emerging technologies such as AI. Speaking after touring the offices in Lusaka yesterday, Mr. Mtati said that the government of President Hakainde Hichilema is committed to creating a platform for digital skills which will reap benefits for economic growth. And a number of people who have called on government to advance technology have praised the government for entering into a memorandum of understanding with Google, which is a giant in terms of technological advancements globally.
All right, Mike, we'll certainly be looking forward to hearing more about that project as it continues to develop. Now, China and Zambia have sealed 9 MOUs aimed at strengthening bilateral and economic ties.
Yeah, as you may be aware, President Hakainde Hichilema has been on a 5-day official visit to China, where he also attended the Falcon Summit. So this memorandum of understanding that Zambia has signed with China include one on sanitary regulations to enable Zambian farmers export soybeans to China. So the agreements were signed on the sidelines of the 2024 Falcon Summit on Africa Cooperation in Beijing. So Commerce and Trade Minister Mulenga Chipoka assured investors that Zambia will support them so that they can start operating as soon as possible. So other agreements that include the memorandum of understanding between a Zangso Construction Machinery Company and the Zambia Development Agency and the Zambia Institute of Public Administration, and also a solar company that signed a solar company, Sangon Technology Company Limited, and Sino Green Technology Company have also signed a memorandum of understanding with the Zambia Development Agency with the prospect of setting up manufacturing plants for solar panels and other solar accessories, considering that Zambia is going through a nationwide power blackout, which government has since called on members of the public, including private citizens, to engage in energy mix in order to move away from hydro dependence of electricity.
All right, understandably so. Now, Zambian young professionals will be among other professionals to compete in the 47th World Skills Competition in Lyon, France. Tell us more, Mike.
So the World Skills Competition is the largest skills competition in the world, organized under the auspices of the World Skills International Movement. So the World Skills Competition will draw about 1,400 competitors from 70 countries competing in 62 skills. This is scheduled to take place from September 10th to 15th in France. So the Zambian competitors are set to demonstrate their excellency and know-how in 10 skills, including information network, cabin, bricklaying, carpentry, mechanical engineering, and concrete construction. So the Zambian delegation will be led by Minister of Science and Technology Permanent Secretary Brilliant Hawenzu, and it is expected that the Zambian delegation will comprise 27 members, and the expectations are high in terms of that Zambia should be amongst the top performers at this competition. So a number of Zambians have also been taken from a higher learning institution so that they can showcase their skills at this global event.
And we certainly wish them all the best, Mike. Now in sports, as I highlighted earlier, Copper Queens captain Barbara Banda has been nominated for the 2024 Women's Ballon d'Or Award. Zambia Kuchalo.
Certainly, Zambia Kuchalo, as it has now been coined by many Zambians, especially when such news hits the headlines. So Barbara Banda is the first. She has made it in the top 30 shortlist together with Malawians Tabitha Chawinga as the only Africans that have been nominated. Barbara Banda is the first Zambian, neither male or female, to be nominated for the Ballon d'Or. So the only other Zambian to receive a similar prestigious award nomination, but not the Ballon d'Or, was Karusha Waria, who was voted the 12th best player in the world during the 1996 FIFA World Player of the Year award. So this is a very huge achievement for Zambia, football-wise, considering that she is the first female Zambian player, neither male or female, now that she has made it to this prestigious global soccer event that most players crave to be nominated. So this came, it is something that the Football Association of Zambia are saying just the nomination itself is a big achievement. It is a motivation to many footballers in Zambia and across the Southern African region. And also that the Malawian player, that is Tabitha, is also on the list. It has showcased that Zambian football, including Malawi, the Southern African region, has hit certain stages that other African countries like South Africa, Namibia, including Mozambique, Malawi, and Tanzania need to up their games.
All right, fair enough, Mike. Message received loud and clear. And congratulations to Barbara Banda and Zambia. Thank you for bringing us the news stories from Zambia.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend. Africa, good morning to our dear viewers.
Africa, good morning indeed. It's time for us to have a look at the weather predictions.
eTicket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
Now, to check out our weather predictions, SMS weather to 0857856231. This is on WhatsApp, and you'll get the very latest. Now, moving into economic news, President Xi Jinping announced yesterday that China will increase its support to Africa, pledging nearly $51 billion in funding, expanded infrastructure projects, and the creation of at least 1 million jobs. The commitments were unveiled during the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation Summit in Beijing, according to Reuters. Now, China, the largest lender globally, also promised to triple its infrastructure projects across Africa. Despite Xi's recent shift towards smaller, high-tech projects centered on green technologies, China remains committed to large-scale development across the region. China is ready to deepen cooperation with Africa in industry, agriculture, infrastructure, trade, and investment, Xi told delegates from more than 50 African nations gathered in Beijing for the 9th meeting of the 3-yearly forum. Following the opening ceremony, delegates adopted the Beijing Declaration, aiming to establish an all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future in the new era. In addition, they approved the Beijing Action Plan for 2025 to 2027, according to China's state media. Xi Jinping also urged for the creation of a China-Africa network featuring land-sea links and coordinated development. He encouraged Chinese contractors to return to the billion-strong continent after the lifting of COVID-19 restrictions, which had previously disrupted many of their projects. And of course, you see the underlying story with regards to this is that there is a race for Africa between China and the United States of America. And clearly both countries are doing their best to court African leaders and indeed African nations and make sure that their economic futures can be tied. Now we move over to Mozambique, where Indonesia's energy mega Persada and South Africa's Guma Group signs an MOU on power project with gas supplied from Buzi Block, Mozambique. A subsidiary of the Bakri Group, Energy Mega Persada has signed an MOU with a South African company, Guma Group, to explore the development of oil and natural gas in the Buzi Block in Mozambique. Now, this is according to a report by Viva Online. According to the same source, the MOU was signed on the sidelines of the second Indonesia-Africa Forum and the high-level forum on multi-stakeholder partnership in Bali on Monday, witnessed by Deputy Foreign Minister Pahala Nogara Mansuri. Meanwhile, Bloomberg had reported ahead of the Indonesia-Africa Forum that PT Pertamina's President Director Niki Widiawati said the company was studying opportunities with Guma Group Limited to build a power plant in South Africa with gas supplied from Mozambique, according to a report by local media outlet Business. Now, the president of Buzi Hydrocarbons PTE, Taufan Eko Nugroho Rotorasiko, expressed gratitude that the gas project aimed at fulfilling the needs for power generation in Mozambique, which has been undertaken by Energy Mega Persada, already gives satisfactory results. All right, those have been our economic news stories. Let's head over to the indicators just before Ari swings by with the sport.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with tennis news first. It is the quarterfinals that is done at the US Open Tennis in New York. It is semi-finals time and it has been determined for the men and the women. On the men's side, it's number 1 seed Jannik Sinner. He's through to the semi-finals. He had a tough game. He played 5th seed Daniel Medvedev. He beat him in 4 sets. It was 6-2, 1-6, 6-1 and 6-4 for Jannik Sinner to go through. And in the semi-final, he will play the number 25 seed. That's a bit of a surprise. It is Jack Draper from Great Britain. He beat Alex de Minaur of Australia, the 10th seed, in 3 sets, 6-3, 7-5 and 6-2. The other semi-final in the men's division will be 2 Americans playing, so there will definitely be an American playing in the final on Sunday. It's Taylor Fritz, number 12 seed, that will play against the 20th seed Frances Tiafoe. In the women's side of the draw, it is Jessica Pegula of the United States. She's through to the semi-final. She beat number 1 seed Iga Swiatek. She beat her quite comfortably, 6-2 and 6-4, so a great win for Jessica Pegula. She will play Caroline Mushkova from the Czech Republic. Mushkova beat Beatriz Haddad Maia of Brazil. And it is in the other semi-final, number 2 seed Aryna Sabalenka still in the tournament, and she will play against another American, Emma Navarro. That's all in the semi-finals. The women's final will be played on Saturday and the men's final on Sunday. On to rugby news, and the big game being played on Saturday in Cape Town. It's a rugby championship that continue 4 teams playing in that. South Africa, also New Zealand, Australia and Argentina. And the game on Saturday in Cape Town is between the Springboks, the host, and the All Blacks. And team news from the Springboks is that they've made 4 changes in the back line. It will be a new number 9 and 10. It will be Grant Williams at number 9 at scrum half, and then Andre Pollard playing fly half, and also a new fullback in Vali Leroux, and a new wing, Kanan Moody. He come in for injured Kurtley Arendse. The All Blacks also made a few changes in the back line. It will be a new back three. It will be Will Jordan at number 15, and the wings will be Mark Talia and Sevo Rees. So that is the matchup. 5 p.m. kickoff time on Saturday, the Springboks against the All Blacks.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning, not just today, but throughout the week on DSTV 285, GoTV 25 in Namibia, 1up2.com, wherever you are, and Network Media Hub on YouTube. From me, Ashwin Berry, and the Africa Good Morning team, have a lovely weekend. But first, Swera Jakanaka.